Rumor has it there were 100 plus rejections.
I don't think I ever kept count, but yeah,
I think we met a lot of.
we met 100-ish bankers, I would say.
We used to go to bank branches in t-shirts and all, then we upgraded to shirts.
Correct.
Then we upgraded to suits.
2 different towns, Jaipur, Pune, mid-2000s, no startup activity, I'm guessing. Why would you do like payment gateways? Or like what motivates you?
How could something digital be harder than the physical? Just start accepting cash. It's easier to accept cash in India.
The list of questions itself was very scary. Like, hey, how long have you been operational? Are you profitable? Where is your physical office? Can you send us photos of your office?
Honestly, we had zero expectation of getting into IC.
Yeah.
We just saw that form. We thought like, there's no harm, zero expectations. But we got that call from IC that you are in and we are over the moon. The next biggest goal for me is like, how can we take Razorpay to that level where it is an institution that runs and sustains on itself.
Razorpay is successful because welcome to season 4 of the Blume Podcast. This year's theme is Destiny Avenged. Each conversation spotlights people who fought past rejections and near failures to earn a chapter in the book on India's startup history. This season is brought to you in partnership with IDFC FIRST Bank and Ultrahuman, a Blume portfolio company. More about them later in the episode. Since the inception, they've driven down India's payment failure rates and scaled a 2,400-strong team that still runs on radical transparency and hacker speed. We're about to unpack the darkest nights, the fastest pivots, and the mindset that turned 2 restless coders into architects of India's digital finance rails. Harshil, Shashank, welcome to the Blume Podcast.
Thanks a lot for inviting.
Thanks for taking time again. And, this season I'm trying to evoke memories of was this your destiny or you're shaping it as you go along, right? And that's a theme for the season. So what I would try and do today is dig a little into your childhood stories in terms of what motivated you, what gets people into IIT today or even say 20 years ago. And then, a little bit of course, you went to your jobs, decided, that wasn't the happy place you wanted to be in. But why would you do payment gateways? Or what motivates you? What motivates you to pick on the entrepreneurial journey that you want to? We'll try to extract that and we'll take it from there. Yeah?
Sounds good.
Super. So 2 different, towns, Jaipur, Pune, mid-2000s, no startup activity, I'm guessing. Very, very different world. What if you had to play back your years from 10 to 15, which is kind of what shapes you into engineering karna hai, medicine karna hai. So what drove you to those decisions? Either of you, both of you can answer.
Sure, let me start. I grew up in Jaipur.
Yeah.
And in general, when you're growing up in a middle-class family, there are only 2 things. And I was good at studies, so I was typically get a first or second rank in school. And when you are that way in a middle-class family, there are only 2 options. Either you have to become a doctor or an engineer. Right?
Yeah,
so
it's still the same. It doesn't change.
So these are the 2 options. I think for me, it was very clear. I really didn't like medicine much. I didn't like blood and all that. So I was very clear I will go into engineering, which means IITs. So I don't think there's too much complication in that.
Yeah.
Got into, I think my first intro to competitive exams happened with NTSC, which used to be the
10th grade,
10th grade competitive exam. That was the first time I prepared for competitive exams in a way. And from NTSC, I moved into coaching for IITs and JEE and so on. And I think that became the direction for me very simply.
And what about you, Shashank?
I think 10 to 15, right? I mean, I used to spend a lot of time on computers.
Okay.
My father got me a...
Early geek. Yes.
Early geek, yeah. I somehow liked, doing whatever you do on computers, doing simple programs, right? I would go out and play as well a lot in the field and all, cricket, football, but that didn't used to be as much fun for me. So I would spend 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours on computers during summer holidays or, even more. Also play a lot of games and everything. I was good at maths, but I wasn't as Harshil said, topper in the school and all. I would score fine, right? I think in 11th, 12th, a lot of my friends were preparing for IIT. And I actually didn't have the confidence that I'll get through IIT. So, I was like, okay, computer is what I like. Maths is what I like. So eventually I want to study either maths or computer science. Like that was what I thought will be good for me. And so the natural thing to do is to prepare for engineering, and everyone around me was preparing for engineering. So I thought I'll also do that. But I wasn't sure if I was cut out to, clear IIT, given how extremely competitive it is. So thankfully that happened. So I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
Were there entrepreneurial streaks in the family lines for either of you? Or?
Not particularly. It was a very service-oriented family. My dad was worked in a bank. I think his dad also used to work in a bank.
Yeah, I don't think there was any even in the extended family, most of the folks were in services. There were some extended relatives who were probably running like a shop, like a grocery shop and all.
So both of you get into Roorkee. So that's one common connection if we have one.
And we both of our dad used to work in bank. So that is common in terms of upbringing.
That too.
I probably had one extended uncle, my mama, who ran a business himself. He was one of the first ones in the family to run a business. And he used to say that, hey, you should try for entrepreneurship at some point of time. And this was in 8th, 9th. And I didn't even understand the word entrepreneur. I couldn't even pronounce it well. So I think I heard it, but it was in very, very back of the mind.
For me, I grew up in Patna, Bihar. I think only thing that is talked about there is you become an IAS.
That's right. IAS is big. So all good stuff. But how did the fateful meeting at Roorkee happen?
So I was a junior to him at college.
1 year junior.
1 year junior. And so he got into computer science, but while I was very interested in computers, similar to him, would be in computers 7 hours a day since my 5th standard. But unfortunately didn't get enough rank in the IIT to get a computer science branch. So got into mechanical, but was very deeply interested in computers and building something. So I used to spend, I would try to figure out, how do I keep my love for computers alive? How do I keep my love for coding alive? So I was searching for that answer, and I found a lot of similar juniors who were getting into various branches, but wanted to spend their evenings and weekends writing code. And we needed mentors. So I got connected to Shashank, who was a senior, and of course he was in computer science. So I got connected to him, and I told him hey, some of us want to do that. He was also connecting with other people, similar people in computer science as well, who while they were in computer science, but most of the study in college is actually very theoretical. So you don't really get to code.
Yeah. That's right.
So somebody like him also, while he was in computer science, he also wanted to spend his evenings writing code, doing practical applications of computer science. So that's how we got connected. I think he called me over to his room one day and said come over and tell me what all are your interests, what will you do? So I went over. I showed him the stuff I had built, showed him the things that I've built over the years and things that I keep doing over the weekends. And I think maybe he should talk about how he was maybe impressed or not, but we stayed connected after that.
I think the surprising thing, and this is IIT Roorkee, right? It's one of the good colleges in the country. The surprising thing even back then was that the college didn't have a good technical culture of actually writing software, right? And that just felt very outdated. Because they're hey, we should be doing something and putting it out for the world to see that we can build something crazy application, even as students, right? It doesn't matter whether you're...
It's a hotbed of all innovation in the West.
Absolutely. So that kind of, I think, thought process from the side of professors wasn't there. It was more academic in nature. But we thought I wasn't really good at studies even in college. But I thought hey, I want to try my hand at this.
You're talking about 12, 13. Imagine our plight in 94.
I can't imagine that.
Right. But same buildings. It was a lovely experience, lovely campus. Which hostels, by the way? Where did you guys spend most of your time?
So in Roorkee, the hostels are given by year. So there's no same...
That has changed, but
it
was the same. I thought it had changed before.
Now it's first year, second year, third year. You get based on year. So the entire year is put together in one hostel. So it's not one single hostel.
I think I was in Azad Bhavan. Computer science in that patch was in Azad Bhavan.
I was in Govind in my 4th year. Yeah.
So, but see, the thing is, I don't think we spend a lot of time in our hostels.
Okay.
We we connected together and we created this.
And this initiative, SDS Labs, was your baby, or like did
so
it exist?
us and 3-4 people. So me, him, there was one more senior of ours. There was 2 more my batchmates, 5-7 of us. I think we got together and we said like we all want to write code. Let's like create some sort of a way for us to meet and build applications ourselves.
And when you graduated, did that tradition?
It still continues. The SDS Labs still continues as a group, college group.
Still an aspirational group for people to get.
So we set it up, and then we had to first find space for it. So we had to find a allocation from the authorities. Then we had to find funding for it, and I can tell you, like, we raised almost 20-30 lakh rupees for that. I can tell you it was harder than any money I've raised from VCs. Because like raising money from government institutions, like making a proposal, getting it approved, not just getting approval of budget, but then actually spending that money, all of that was really painful. But
I'm doing my social service back for the college right now. I'm in the Tides, the board as well.
Entrepreneurship.
So I know how difficult it is.
And you should hear like some of the stories on how like we had to get funding approval. Like if you have to buy a monitor, right? Or if you have to buy like a TV, where we can teach students, right? If we just write TV, I don't think we'll get approval. So we have to write like presentation monitors, right? Because we want to present to students, right?
So we have to find the right hacks and all of that to get approvals. But when we set that up, once we set the structure up, then I think almost all of our evenings, weekends, everything we spent in that lab. So we wouldn't spend any time. Like most people in my branch don't know me well. Because I didn't spend any time in my hostel. Like we would be up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the night, writing code, building stuff.
What are the best projects that came out of there? And like, nothing was worthy of like starting up at that point?
So we first of all, in college, you're not thinking of monetization, you're not thinking of acquisition, you're just building stuff because it's fun. So a lot of stuff was just discarded. We just built it, it's cool, hey, it looks cool, and we're all happy.
And we launched it. See, I think one of the limitation, right? Why? Because I thought about that question earlier. There was not good internet in college. Okay, so a lot of stuff that we did, we could only launch in college. We couldn't launch outside college.
Scale outside. So for example, one of the things that I launched in college was we used to watch cricket matches. And at that point of time, we had to go down to TV rooms to watch matches. There was no Hotstar, there was no online streaming. Internet wasn't great. So we had to go down to a TV room in hostels and watch.
In the common room.
So we got a dish TV and connected it to a tuner card in a desktop, and then streamed the cricket matches over the local intranet.
Local LAN,
It got really popular. We built an entire infrastructure around streaming and how do you do at low network speeds and all of that. So it was like an early version of a Hotstar.
Like a college version of Jio Hotstar.
In that day.
Private Jio.
Yes. And we ran it and it got really popular. We really enjoyed it. And again, there's no outcome that you're expecting. Then you'll build cool stuff on top. Like how can people send messages and those messages are displayed and so on. So you'll build stuff on top of it. It was just fun.
Very cool. And then both of you took jobs, clearly. You didn't have a compelling idea at that point to say, hey, we'll go start up. And a year apart, I'm guessing. So Microsoft, Schlumberger. And how do you connect back then? Usually you lose touch, especially if you're not in the same batch, if you're like in two different parts of the world, which is what it seemed to be.
So these stories are different from different perspectives, maybe.
Both should tell.
This is my perspective. I think the first thing happened is when he got a PPO offer from Microsoft for his internship. And before he was leaving, he once came to my room and discussed that, I'm going to Microsoft in US, but we should stay in touch. We should, like, with all the time we have spent together building stuff in SDS Labs, I feel we have a lot of chemistry that we can build something together. So we stay in touch and figure out like if we can do a startup or something at that point of time. And I said, sure, this guy's saying this, but once he goes to US, he's going to forget all about it. So we'll see, who comes back from US, who does a startup. So I said, and he was
Seems
one of
like
those...
a nice, sweet parting message.
Yeah, and he was one of those guys who got this 1 crore type packages, which was popular in the campus, which came in newspapers. So like with that, I said, you get 1 crore rupees, you're not coming back. So I said, sure, we'll stay in touch. Let me know when you think of coming back. And that's when we lost touch. But the second part you should tell.
I'll tell you, I think when I graduated, right, I got a PPO offer from Microsoft. But actually, I had a very good B2B project in college. So I did it with 2 other friends. And I put it to them, hey, this project is very interesting. We spent almost 1.5 years doing it. Should we put it out commercially, like, commercialize it. Not as a startup because that's like a big step, but maybe like make an attempt to commercialize it and see what we can do with it. And they mostly said no, So because I was always like, yeah, job and all.
And this was while you were at their Seattle headquarters.
No, this was in college. This was when I was graduating. So our project got the best project for our batch, in that year.
Got it.
But it was a very nice one. But I couldn't commercialize it, because I thought like, let's take it forward. It's very innovative, right? And then when I went to Microsoft, actually it was very different. Like when I went to US, my thought was like, I'm going there. I don't know if I'll ever come back, right? And most of my friends were like, they will come back in 3 years when the visa expires. You have to renew after 3 years.
That's
right?
correct.
So they'll most likely be there for 3 years and then they'll come back. But what ended up happening is reverse. So I was probably one out of 10 people or 8 people who came back, and most of them stayed back there.
Interesting.
And the way I think about it, I think the Microsoft journey was really good. Very good job, very good pay. For the first time, I felt like I'm earning money, right? And rather than like just living hand to mouth.
He used to drive a Mustang in US.
Yeah.
The American dream.
The American dream.
Ford Mustang.
Honestly, right? Driving a Ford Mustang, doing a lot of road trips, right? Just going around having fun.
Yeah.
I think Microsoft was a good place.
So what changed? What did Fate have? Fate had other plans. Clearly.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I couldn't get over was just the impact.
Yeah. You're like a cog in the wheel there.
I'm like a cog in a wheel. And I think, at that time I used to sort of resent it. But I understand like, hey, like it's a large company. That's how it works. Yeah. I'm the junior most person.
Yeah.
You earn some credentials in the system and then maybe you'll get it.
That's right.
I would ask a bunch of strategy questions and this and that, and I wouldn't get any answers. Not their fault. But I also felt a very important thing, which is that, we have got the best education, right? What I'm doing there, while it's interesting, it's not the most challenging problem. Like it can be done by most of the other folks.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't sit well with me like the good education that we have got, which is like 90% plus subsidized. The IT education is literally heavily subsidized, right?
Crazy subsidized.
Crazy subsidized.
Yeah.
That we are the top students or whatever in the country.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like I'm doing something which can be done by most people. I'm doing something which contributes to US GDP. I'm doing something where I don't have a lot of say.
Yeah.
So that somewhere fundamentally didn't sit well with me.
So who sent the first love letter? Who's reached out to who?
Yeah. So I reached out to a bunch of people. Okay.
So I was not his first choice.
I teased him that Harshil was not my first choice. I reached out to a bunch of people. Hey, let's do something. Let's do some side project. It's not like do a startup, but over the weekend or nights, let's do something which we can have fun with. But to Harshil's credit, he's the only one who said yes.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
I think on my side, things were different. I went to Schlumberger.
That's right.
On day one, I realized like this is not the job I want to do for my life. Like it is a good job. It pays a lot. But at the end of the day, you are doing manual
Were you
work.
on oil rigs actually?
I was on oil rigs.
Yeah.
But the work that you do, it's quite expensive. Because oil rigs are like very efficient and they make a lot of money. But at the end of the work that I was doing was very basic, right? Like anyone could do it. So there's not a lot of intelligence used and all that. They wanted some very smart people to do their job because of the stakes there.
In that job.
But the job itself was very simple. So I felt like this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I really want to do something. A, I was very interested in doing something on the computer side. And B, I want to do something where I'm using more of my mental bandwidth rather than my physical attributes. And so on day one, I realized I want to leave this job well. So he would reach out and he would speak a lot and like, I don't want to do this job anyway. So maybe explore this a bit.
And then what? How does the brainstorming at that age, without necessarily knowing every problem in the world, how did you arrive at this?
So I don't think we started with a startup. We said, let's start spending our weekends and evenings building something. The good part about MNC jobs is you have a lot of free time in evenings and weekends. So
both of you in the US at that point?
I was in Middle East. He was in US.
Okay.
So we would spend our weekends and evenings like coding and writing stuff. So we started chatting a lot, discussing various ideas, building stuff. And we started building this social crowdfunding platform.
Go to me or something.
Yeah, it was not really a startup. It was more like we used to see in Facebook, people would share that, hey, I want to raise some money and can somebody help and all of that. We said, can we make it more
A
structured?
lot of them are good lifestyle business. They're still around.
So it's not like we can just build a simple way that if somebody is going through something hard, they can put it up on Facebook and people can contribute 2 rupees, 5 rupees, 10 rupees and maybe add up to some amounts.
Yeah, we want to push what I feel is still unsolved to some extent is that most of the white collar employees in India don't make any donations.
Yeah.
Philanthropy in general is not like democratized. It's not easy to do it.
Yeah.
So how can we do that? So that was the idea. But one of the core problems that you need to solve for that is payments, because
that's how you hit upon payments.
That is how we hit upon payments. So we said, this sounds easy. We start building it. Then we sort of payments. We'll plug in something and it'll be easy.
Yeah.
Then we started going through the pain of payments. And it is quite painful to go through payments.
In fact, when we spoke to some banks and incumbents for the payment gateway, right? The list of questions itself was very scary. Like, hey, how long have you been operational? Are you profitable? Where is your physical office? Can you send us photos of your office?
Can you send us last 4 years of bank statement? Can you send us like your photos of office?
No trust at all. Assume that you were up to some shady activity.
No, I don't think it was the
not even trust.
assumption. This is the process.
No, that's what I meant.
It was almost
somebody
like
had written it, nobody had challenged it.
So it was like the bank underwriting process was applied to payments as well. And we said, you're giving us payments. Why are you underwriting that deeply? Yes, we understand that there is some underwriting required. But it's a 1 or 2 day. You're not giving me a 6-month loan. Because the process was same as a 6-month loan. Essentially exactly same as a 6-month loan process.
Understood.
So that made no sense to us. So we started saying maybe we have a bad experience. So we started, Facebook was very popular. So we used to go to Bangalore startups, Pune startups. These Facebook groups were very popular. So we started asking people and we realized almost everyone has the same experience. So people said, hey, just start accepting cash. It's easier to accept cash in India than to accept digital payments. And that made no sense to us. Like we spoke to each other like, how could something digital be harder than the physical? But like the point of internet, the point of technology over the years has always been democratization.
That's good.
Like internet gives everyone a way to connect with people. Social media gives everyone a voice. Most of technological advancements have been around democratization, making it easier and cheaper for people to get access to.
Yeah.
So with that, we started spending more and more time because it felt like a very universal problem, which a lot of people were facing.
Yeah.
And we started thinking maybe there's something to be done here. That's how we went deeper into it.
Our season partner, Ultrahuman, is back for a second time. I'm biased as the seed investor here, but their immensely loved brand is making waves globally. Ultrahuman is a health tech pioneer redefining how we track and improve our health. Their sleek titanium ring air and its new rare metal cousins accurately track sleep, movement, and recovery to deliver real-time health insights and personalized nudges. Ultrahuman is creating a unique health ecosystem built on top of the wearable data. It just launched Blood Vision in the US in addition to India, a blood testing service that offers a panel of over 100 longevity and chronic disease biomarkers with the convenience of an at-home test. They're also launching Ultrahuman Home globally for environment-aware analysis and sleep insights. Whatever your health fix, go sign up and experience being truly Ultrahuman.
I think the part that we thought about that it should be easy for anyone sitting anywhere to accept payments in India, right? Whether it's in college or, in a one-person bedroom, it doesn't matter, right? Like, you should literally be able to go out and.
So when did you quit and move back, or when did you get started really on? When did the first Razorpay deck happen? Those were always memorable moments. Yeah.
So it's very interesting. We started building.
Was it Razorpay on day one?
I think we started thinking of names, but the name was Razorpay very early.
Okay.
Mostly because the domain was available.
So we read the Paulgram essay that find the .com. So you need to have a .com available.
Yeah. So you were already Paulgram fans before you went to
it? We started.
Yeah, because of the college lab and all that we did. We used to read Hacker News a lot. And Paulgram.
So we used to read Paulgram's essays since college.
Got it.
So we started spending a lot of time discussing with each other. So we started building the product. Now, typically the way payments work is you first get, because most people who build payments are people from banking or in finance industry. You first get the bank APIs and partnerships, then you build the product on top of it. And that's why most payment companies at that point of time used to look very similar. Because the base layer was the bank one and you build on top of it. Fortunately or unfortunately for us, we didn't have access to the bank side because we were two techies. We had no connect to the bank side. So we started building a product assuming how a merchant or a business would accept payments, and we started building from that lens. So that's why Razorpay's integration looked very different at that point of time compared to any other payment gateway because we didn't know what the base looks like. We assumed that it's a black box and let's build it outside in. So we started building the product and everything, but we didn't leave our jobs because we were not sure we'll even get access to the banking part easily. So we started speaking to banks. I remember one of my off days, I was in Jaipur in my hometown and I went to an SDFC branch next to my home. And I said, hey, I walked in and I said, hey, I want to start a payment gateway. How do I go about it? And the guy looked at me and said, do you want a payment gateway? I said, no, I want to start a payment gateway. And he had no idea. Nobody walks into a Jaipur branch and says, I want to start a payment gateway. So he said, I don't know how to go about it. I can give you a payment gateway if you want. He spoke to somebody in Delhi and said, this is not handled in Jaipur. You have to go to somebody in Mumbai and get it done.
No, when I spoke to someone in one of the branches in Patna bank branches, they hadn't heard of payment gateway. So they were like, what are you talking about?
And then what? I mean, I'm still obviously flabbergasted that without knowing the banking system, how did you even get off the ground?
Yeah, so we just took reasonable assumptions. Like, let's assume this is a black box.
Yeah.
Something will come here. What would a customer expect?
Keep poking the black box in different ways.
And you keep poking. And then he somehow that. So we started. So this bank process was running parallelly. So we didn't leave our jobs till we knew the bank part was sorted. So we got connected to this guy in another bank I went to, and then we got connected to this guy in Mumbai. Then we got connected to this guy in Delhi. I went to meet this guy in Delhi, and he rejected us. Then we went to meet a different bank, a different guy in Mumbai, and then he rejected us. So we started speaking to, going to different banks. And I think one of these guys, he spoke to on phone.
There was some refinement. Like, we used to go.
You learn from your last rejections.
So we used to go to bank branches in t-shirts and all. Then we upgraded to shirts. Correct. Then we upgraded to suits. We would go to bank branches, right? Then we would go to reach out to people in regional HQs. Then we started reaching out to central HQs like in Delhi and Mumbai.
In a classic iteration.
And then we started finding, we realized that a lot of older guys in banks reject us. So we started trying to find a little bit younger but we senior guys and see, hey, maybe they will understand what we are trying to do.
No, this is awesome legwork lessons for anybody who's listening. And this is how young founders get started.
So you hack your way through it, like hustle your way through it. So I think after
rumor has it there were 100 plus rejections.
I don't think I ever kept count, but I
think we met a lot of.
We met 100-ish bankers, I would say,
100-ish
in this journey.
And then they were asking. Then finally, what is the first breakthrough?
So we found this one guy in Mumbai. I remember it was in February 2014. I had a meeting with.
So as early as 14, you guys were up with the product.
Yeah, we were pushing for this. Product was being built in the side, like assuming that something is there. So we met this guy who said, who heard us out. He was relatively younger. He was a guy from XLRI, relatively younger. He was heading that region. So he said, okay, I can give you an approval. I understand what you're trying to do, but it's still risky for us. So we'll give you an approval, an in-principle approval. But you need to give a 25 lakh rupees security deposit because there's still risk because you guys are not from finance background. But
and also get through our compliance process.
Which we downplayed. We thought, okay, now it's all good. So we said in principle approval.
Yeah.
And then I spoke to Shashank. He said, okay, 25 lakh is a lot because you're from middle class background. You didn't really have 25 lakh liquid.
Yeah.
So Shashank spoke to his grandfather who had some property sale money and something like that. He said, okay, his grandfather agreed to loan us that amount. And I remember that date because
your first angel investor.
Yeah.
Friends and family as well.
Yeah. So I remember that date because the next day I went and left my job in Schlumberger. Like literally next day I went and left and said like, now we are doing this full time.
Yeah.
The funny part was I didn't tell him that I'm going to leave my job. So I left my job. I called him that I left my job. When are you coming back? And he said, you already left. Let me think about it.
It's a commitment to the investor as well. Like since that.
Yeah,
right?
now that
the day you've touched money.
Now we are taking security deposit. We are doing this full time. Let's do it full time.
Yeah.
And on that, at that point, just curious because I have two young founders here who I'm getting every element of their journey. Did you feel like we'll see how it goes, or did you feel like, man, now, I mean, going back to my word for the season, did it feel like destiny is finally calling? Like, did you feel like we can build something phenomenal out here?
I think we're both very optimistic by nature. So we both were thought like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, this was the only part in the entire, because by this time we had read enough about regulations, we had spoken to enough bankers, we had spoken to enough startup guys. So we were convinced that this is a problem that needs to be solved. We were convinced that if we solve it, it's a large problem statement. What we were, the end product part, we were never like underconfident. We knew we can build a good product. Like we started building it, we started speaking to people. The only thing we were underconfident on is the banking side. So once that got sorted, we said everything else is...
Yeah, banking, how will sales be, all of those questions were always there. It was not like, hey, this is destiny. It was not like that.
Okay.
But it felt very exciting to, I think that banking approval, by the way, happened after almost like 4 months of effort.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure.
So it felt like, hey, if we have gotten it, like,
the banks are as good as any administrative system in this country.
It was still not a final approval. From this in-principle approval to our first live transition, it took us a year. So it was almost a year of legwork from there to get compliance and all that.
Because this compliance approval was like its
own beast.
big beast in itself. And we had to go through a lot of process.
And what came first? Did you start looking for people to hire? Did you go raise money? Did you go to YC? Just
No,
what is the
nothing.
sequence of things that
I think we
happened in 14?
We just had. So I came to Jaipur. We both of us
had some interns.
shifted to Jaipur.
Yeah.
We got some interns from our college, and we kept building the product.
Yeah, interns, like we have juniors from our college who knew us and others. We said we are building something cool. There was summer vacations coming, and why don't you come down and let's build? And so these guys.
The summer of 14?
Yeah, summer of 14. So a lot of these guys came down. We started building stuff together. Then some of these guys, of course, went back to college after the vacations got over. They kept working with us on their free time, and we kept building stuff together at that point. The compliance process was still going on. That was taking its own effort. We started speaking to customers who could be potential customers, getting them ready. Because every time we thought, okay, now it's just next month is going to get done. It still took us 6 months from there, but we thought it's going to get done next month. So we started getting customers ready. And all these things were running in parallel at that point. I think YC, in around October that year, we applied for YC. YC application opened up. As I said, we used to read Hacker News a lot. We said,
there weren't too many people. I mean, there were people who were aware, the ecosystem was aware, but not remotely close to what it is
honestly,
today.
we had zero expectation of getting into YC.
Yeah.
We just saw that form. We thought like, there's no harm.
Yeah.
There's no harm in applying.
Nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So, but we put our efforts in.
Yeah.
Like, let's put our effort in. Let's write it. And
By the way, your team's been kind enough to give me a print of your first pitch. So tell me, was this the pitch that got you into YC?
no, this was post YC.
I know this is post YC,
Yeah.
but was it very similar?
Similar. We said we are building online payments, and the good part about the YC process is a lot of these questions that YC asks in the form are things that you should typically think through when you're doing a startup, but you don't generally because you.
It just allows you to structure your thought.
Because you organically move towards it. So it allowed us to structure what are we doing, what are we doing differently, why will people use us over the available methods. I think they're very simple questions, but they help you think through. That
No,
what are you
it
doing
looks like that's become this deck.
Yes.
I leafed through it,
It-
and the one thing that stood out was just the simplicity of the proposition, right?
That-
No mumbo jumbo, no rocket science.
Yes.
This is a basic problem. I know how to solve it better. I'm solving it.
That's basically what we.
It feels like that when you go through the deck. But yeah, so
we got into YC.
and back then they used to ship you back into the US, right?
Yeah, so they called us to US first for the interview. It was a 10-minute interview if we flew down to US, and we had, again, zero expectations. But we got that call from YC that you are in, and we are over the moon.
Thrilled.
We were very excited to just go to US because they said like they will cover our
That's right.
travel costs.
That's
right?
right.
So
It's a big kick for a young.
So then January, we moved to YC. We moved to Valley. Jan to March. We hadn't gone live yet.
yeah.
We got into YC, and Jan to March, we were in YC. And at that point, we went live around in March.
Of course, you're a poster child for like obviously YC's success in India, one of many, but like one of the early ones. And I think you've said that they allowed you, that whole experience allowed you to think much bigger, 10x bigger. And what specifically do you think YC did? Are we beginning to do that in India? Whether it's accelerators, whether it's VCs, are they helping entrepreneurs think like really big?
I would say the process that YC has, right, which is getting the smartest folks in a room, smartest founders in a room, right? And having that shared sense of community, because you see all the other founders struggling, but everyone making an effort to grow 10 to 100x, right? That makes it very normal. That makes you feel that, hey, like,
This is okay.
This is okay. I can do
Me
this.
failing every week is okay.
Yeah.
Like, you just need that because it's a very lonely journey.
Yeah.
In the early days, like
Yeah.
the grunt that you have to put in, the effort you have to put in, it's very easy to burn out and say, "What am I doing? Like, I've spent 6 months and nothing has moved."
Yeah.
But when you meet that same group of people every week who say, "Yeah, we are all in the same boat. We're all trying the same things. Somebody's failing at sales, somebody's failing at hiring, somebody's failing at marketing.
Yeah.
Somebody's doing really well one week and then failing next week." Like, you see all of those journeys in the same group.
So it's like an intensive community kind of feeling that you all lean on each other.
I would say the other good thing, which I feel still is not there for a lot of early stage founders, right?
Yeah.
In some sense, YC allows you to just say, look, just focus on building the product and talking to customers. That's it. Because a lot of early stage founders feel that, hey, maybe talking to investors, raising funds, hiring, these are the problems that you should focus on. But that is not the case. The main thing that you have to focus on, hey, how do you build your product and get in the hands of customer and, get to some traction, get to some customer level. That's all that matters.
The 3 months focus of YC is just removing all distractions and focusing on getting your product out, like getting your customers in. And they really discourage you from spending your time on anything else. So they just tell you that don't spend your time on hiring, don't spend your time on fundraising, PR. all of these things that you start feeling a founder's job are not the core job. The core job is building a product and selling to customers.
And a customer loving that product. So that happened while you were at YC, or once you had to move back and then shift?
From YC, and it continued from YC.
We launched during YC.
And so tell us customer number one. I mean, like, usually when we see folks selling enterprise, SMB, they've come from those backgrounds. They know what the sales motion looks like. How did it play out?
So we used to work in this co-working place in Jaipur.
Okay.
Because he had moved to Jaipur and we started building there.
Yeah,
so we had a lot of
Oasis.
startup. So there were a lot of people who were building in the same co-working space.
Yeah.
Somebody was building something in e-commerce. Somebody was building something in navigation and something like that. So we started speaking to them that, hey, we are building this gateway. Why don't you try us? And so those were our first customers. The first customer was a very small e-commerce company which used to sell t-shirts for actually kids clothing.
Okay.
And we got them on board. They still use Razorpay.
Yeah.
And
Wonderful.
That was the first customer that went live. Very tiny.
Yeah.
That was the first customer that went live.
Awesome. And then, it feels like you didn't need to advertise. You suddenly started getting more signups. What drove that momentum? What is PLG?
I think the
GTM, as they say in our jargon.
So I'll tell you two things. One, just the launch with the YC backing got us great traction in media because every media
That's right.
covered
Everybody
it. That
suddenly
was
knew
a
you.
unique thing at that point of
That's
time.
true. That's true.
Right? So suddenly, we had a lot of customers who were aware of us.
Yeah.
Second,
Especially the startup crowd follows everything.
Yes.
So they're all aware suddenly of a
yeah, but I think we were still very new and very young. So
Yeah.
it was not something that was
you were saying-
repeatable. It was just a spike of awareness that we got, right?
Yeah.
But I think we focused on how do we get customers? And what we cracked was one specific channel, which is going to all the Facebook groups and all the WhatsApp groups. And there's going to be a startup group in Bangalore, startup group in Mumbai, in
Correct.
Pune, in Jaipur. So we would go to all those groups and we would talk
That
about
was our
that.
GTM strategy.
Yeah.
Both me, him, all the early folks we got, we will all hang out in all of these groups. And anyone
who wants a payment
anyone would say
gateway,
that I want a payment gateway, we will get them. And we give them really, really high touch end-to-end experience. So once they went live with us, they loved us so much that anyone else now posted about payment gateway, we didn't have to respond. Somebody else would say, try this, we try
They'll
this.
recommend. The word of mouth for us was extremely strong. And see, these are the smallest of customers. So the incumbents were not paying attention. Right? Most of the incumbents at that point of time were only focused on enterprises.
That's correct.
Because that's where you get revenue and volumes.
That's right.
With these folks, there is no revenue, no volume. But there was a lot of customer love and word of mouth that we could generate.
No, I'm witness to this because we're on the same Roorkee entrepreneur group.
Yeah.
I don't know, Shashank is very quiet, so I don't even know if he's on it. Harshil at least acknowledges it. But I remember two things distinctly about that WhatsApp group. One is if anybody asks even a single question around Razorpay, CEO will come and reply.
Absolutely.
And I think people are delighted that he's there, he's replying, he's watching anything that's said about the company. And then that there's a natural momentum when somebody replies on your behalf and recommends you and says, hey, you have any questions? The CEO is here. He'll answer those questions. I think culturally I think that original GTM is reflective of the culture also. I mean, both of you guys and probably continues down 10 years into Razorpay.
Even today, my team jokes that if there is a customer complaint on Razorpay on Twitter
Any of the social media
or any social media,
WhatsApp groups,
I post it into our escalations group before my team can identify it. And sometimes the team wonders how do you get this first?
No, but I've seen this as a mark of some stellar founders. So congratulations on being that obsessed.
In B2B, that is the servicing is a key.
Yeah.
Right. In B2C, and sometimes your products shine, sometimes other things shine. Servicing is the core key component because B2B, a lot of our sales is always word of mouth. Even today, even in enterprises, some guy uses this Razorpay in, let's say, Swiggy and built it out, and tomorrow he moves to Zomato. If he loved our experience in Swiggy, he'll say in Zomato, hey, why don't you use that Razorpay? So that's the word of mouth is one of our core drivers of business.
So far, it sounds like a fairy tale relative to what startups go through. No, so let me break the momentum and say, walk us through some of the pains of those early stages. As much as you've said, it's iterative, it takes long. Still, relative to 90 out of 100 startups, this sounds smooth. So two sets. One, what did customers dislike, hate, give crap back to you on product, which some of it you take and you take it as founder ego and say, I will prove them wrong. And did it help you sort of build a better product? Any examples of that? And the other is, team dynamics. You both seem again to the outsider, you seem like the best couple, right? So like, what would you guys fight on? How did you resolve that? What is your operating style on fixing your conflicts? So anyone can take.
See, there were a lot of tough moments,
I'm sure. I was just trying to bring them out.
Yeah, like the whole banking process itself was very painful.
Yeah.
To the extent that we thought like, is this the right field to be in? That
because
we are
you
going
see
to be
other
so,
startups who are
dependent.
building and deploying and launching, and then we would come back and say, yeah, we are just still waiting for banking.
We are still waiting for.
It feels you are not in control of your destiny, like most startups are. So a lot of times we sat down and said, like, is this the right space to build? And we could like imagine it took us 4 or 5 months to get the in-principle approval. It took us a year from there. So almost a gestation period of 1.5 years to do our first customer go live. In most places that doesn't happen. So that was one place where we constantly kept debating, is this the right space to build in?
There was another issue that I think we had signed up with one of the payment gateways to resell their system. And we had taken some customers live on it. And then
one sudden day they shut it.
They pulled the plug.
Wow.
So we had like a very
actually what happened is that our YC news came out. They assumed we are a very small player and they worked with us.
Yeah.
Our YC news came out and they realized these guys seem large because YC was covered in everything.
Yeah, maybe they are competitors. They are not a partner.
They thought these guys will be a competitor, so they just suddenly pulled the plug and shut it down. So all our customers were suddenly unable to process payments. And and in that situation, what do you do? Because unlike anything else, you can't just move it to something else. You can just suddenly can't run their operations somewhere. These are guys who trusted us in the early days. So one thing we did in that case is we had like a 5-member team, and we told everyone that we have to call every single customer and explain what has happened and how do we manage that. Like we'll not stop picking up phone calls no matter what happens. So there are customers who called us. There are literally customers who abused us on phone. Massively, because their business is impacted.
Correct,
and I can empathize. But it's like proper Hindi abuses that the guy gave on the phone. I said, no matter how many times he abuses, we'll pick up the phones, we'll hear them out, we'll explain our viewpoint, we'll tell what we are doing. And we didn't miss a single call. Some of those customers, of course, we fixed it all within a week and customers were live. Some of the customers still continue with us and they were really happy with the way we handled them over that year. So those are times that also builds that camaraderie, but
truly
it was very painful.
And camaraderie.
Yeah, it's easy to say today, but it was very painful in that moment.
This is a good time to talk about IDFC FIRST Bank, our seasoned partner. IDFC FIRST Bank has earned its reputation as one of India's most startup-friendly banks through its First Wings program, which provides dedicated mentorship and tailored financial solutions to help early-stage ventures scale effectively. Coincidentally, many of Blume's portfolio companies, much later stage, also partner with IDFC FIRST Bank for their banking and financial needs. If you're well-funded and scaling, there are great lending and banking partners, and our portfolio companies would attest to that. And then I think, two remarkable features of maybe the business you've built. One is just never compromising on just building a beautiful product. Design, everything. Like you hit your payment on whichever app anyone here is using, and you'll see this, this, you don't even see it on global apps. Yeah. So, if you look at payment apps, as everyone point out, they're clunky, they look like very boring. So, how did that come in from like two engineers from, you don't see it typically in India. And second, this business looks like you'll have starting challenges, but once it takes off, it just scales like crazy. Were you prepared for just the speed at which things scale, both in terms of people, organization building, and just technology and what it takes to build a backbone that can scale with, you're talking about breakages, but you're at like gazillion times the scale as 2015. So what stand out in Razorpay's culture that make both of these happen?
So first of all, so I just want to add on payments, right? Payments is a very uniquely different business than a lot of consumer businesses.
Yeah.
In a sense, to your point in scale, right? The way I tell to my team is our business is like a utility company, right? Like nobody cares when you're doing well.
Yeah.
But the day you mess up for 5 minutes, right? Like people are extremely unhappy. So all the things that we do every day to keep the lights on, to make sure your payments go through, we operate, like a lot of times it's underappreciated. We operate a lot of times on broken infrastructure. Like sometimes the bank infrastructure is not great. Sometimes the core ecosystem on top of which we operate is not great. And it is going down and failing. But at the end of the day, we can't tell the customer that, hey, it failed because his bank failed. Like they will blame us.
Yes.
And rightly so. So it's a core infrastructure business, which means availability is very, very critical. Like, and like just
99 point n number of nights.
number of availability is very, very critical. And the biggest complaints to your earlier question, the biggest complaint is always around like if you break, like nobody cares about the 10 new features you build. If you break for a second, all of that is down the drain. So that is something we have to build culturally, because a lot of people will come from consumer ecosystems, will come from different technology ecosystems where like move fast and break things, and failure is like accepted and fine. In our ecosystem, that doesn't work. So we have to like retrain a lot of those cultural nuances that it's okay to be slow, but it's not okay to fail. And that's quite counterintuitive to how most startups operate. And it takes a while to fix that.
I think on the design part that you talked about, it was a very conscious call. Part of it was because, we were always inspired by using good products, right? And being from a younger generation, I felt that we had that advantage that we have used products like, let's say, Instagram or Uber, right? And seen like how good the experiences are.
Yeah.
And when you use those products,
native to good design, in some sense.
In some sense, right?
Yeah.
And when you again use some of the products in India, I think you can see like how big the delta is, right?
Yeah.
But intuitively, we felt like we should design beautiful products.
Yeah.
Not just because like, that'll give you good business, but that's just our marker of quality, right? We want to design good products, and that's how we feel the world should be. And I think a very interesting thing happened as a result of that. Like the impression that came out in the ecosystem is that, hey, these guys are fairly mature.
Yeah.
These guys are fairly large.
Yeah.
I think the impression that Razorpay always carried, which surprisingly worked well for us, given we are in fintech where trust is very important, that these guys are a very large company when we were even a 10, 20 member team. I think on the quality part, again, I mean, some of it is due to our engineering background, but I think it's always the case that, hey, like we want our product to stand out. We want our product to be the best in the industry. So we can't take shortcuts. There has to be the culture from day one that you do everything that is needed to make the customer successful. And that's where then some of those calls come from.
Design was a growth hack in a way.
Yeah.
Because what happens typically payment gateway, nobody knows. Like you go and pay and you move on. You don't recognize what a payment gateway is because typically it's a back-end process.
That's right.
And unlike everything else, people are trying to minimize the time they're spending on payments. Like nobody's really trying to spend too much time on that. It's generally a stressful period.
Correct.
Because like at least in 20, 15 years used to be, but even today it's a stressful period.
Yeah.
You chose a product, you decide you want to buy it, then you go to this pay button and then suddenly there's a messages, don't press back, don't press refresh.
Yeah.
And you have,
I don't know if you remember those messages. It was always
everyone
there.
has that experience once.
OTP, you're looking at
And everyone has that experience once that your money has been debited, but didn't get credited, the transaction didn't complete, and you are very stressed. What will happen?
Yeah.
So, and whenever these stressful moments are there, it's also one of the best ways to build trust.
Yeah,
because the customer is looking for markers of trust. He's looking for ways to realize that, okay, things will go fine if I see this. So what we started doing is that we started putting Razorpay's branding front and center. We, of course, focus a lot, as Shashank said, putting a lot of focus on how this looks, how this feels. How do we give that user a comfort in that feeling of distrust that, hey, we are here and we are managing this. So powered by Razorpay, when your transaction completes, we send you a payment successful email. We were one of the first ones to start sending an email from a payment gateway site. So that even if your money is debited, we tell you the payment is successful. So if your business hasn't sent you a confirmation, as long as we have sent you, you know that money is debited by us. So either money will get refunded or will settle to them. So started doing a lot of those things. So going back to the point of design, what good design tells me is not that like, it's not that on B2B people care about like beautiful designs.
Yeah.
But good design tells me that somebody's put in the care to build this product, that if they focus that much on design, they would have focused on everything else as well. So that is the natural behavior people carry. That if something as basic as design they've solved well, then they would have done everything else well.
And I think in your case, doubly so because everything touches a consumer at the end.
Yeah.
The consumer mindset. Like even if the guy is paying for his business, fundamentally he's going back and he sees Razorpay in his e-com purchase.
And we started seeing that
everybody in the country is a consumer of yours.
And once people started having good experiences with us, we started seeing people come and tell us that, hey, when we see Razorpay, we feel comforted. Because generally in that experience, when payments comes in, somebody sees powered by Razorpay, I feel comforted. Okay, you guys will take care.
I'll tell you, I think, one story, right? I mean, we went to this RO company, water purifier company, and this was the son of the founder. So he was the upcoming leader of the firm. And when I met with him, he said like he really liked the experience of checkout on Razorpay, and that deal got closed just because he had such good experience. Right. So to that point, like, a lot of people feel that design and all doesn't carry value. At least that was the thinking last decade. Now it has changed. But this was a clear case for us that we should continue investing in it.
So we'll pick up a little bit of momentum. So who actually first believed that this is a fundable idea and investable idea? So how did that journey play out? Now I think you have like a few dozen investors on your cap table. You have 700 plus million raised. You're 7.5 billion. So everyone's laughing their way to the bank whenever waiting for your IPO, I guess. But yeah.
No, I think YC, of course. YC was
after that.
After that, we had a bunch of angel investors and Matrix who did a seed round.
Yeah, we in fact got a bunch of entrepreneurs of India, like InMobi founders, Snapdeal founders, right? To invest in.
I think Arpit in my team says you're one of his anti-portfolio. At some point he met you.
I think he met a bit late.
Yeah, met a bit late and didn't come back to the team. It's okay.
Yeah.
So our loss.
But a lot of founders really related to this problem. So I met Kunal Chai, who was doing charge at that point
one
of
of our
time.
mentors and
I
angels.
met Snapdeal founders Kunal, Bell and Rohit.
No, I think your recent campaign that you ran is like a testament to your journey as well, right? You're also giving back to the founders who grew up with you in some sense, right? As both companies and sort of backed you at that point. And then just curious about what does the future hold? I mean, you've built like this massive company. Maybe it's on autopilot, maybe it's not. I've seen some early signs of acquisitions into other markets. What do you both of you dream about when you think, what next? It's been over a decade. What plans for IPO? I know you've reverse flipped, which I guess is your ambitions to list out here. And clearly everybody in this room, behind the cameras, everyone wants to own a piece of Razorpay. So hopefully you'll list sooner than later. But yeah, give us a sense of what the future holds.
IPO is an important milestone in the journey, but like I think the goal is definitely broader than that, right? I think when you start, goals keep changing. I mean, you start the company, the idea is just to build a large company. Like the company can be large enough to sustain itself. Because initially you're just trying to survive.
That's right.
So at some point we cross that threshold that, okay, the company is going to survive. Right? The next step is how do we make it large enough that it survives, but it's large enough. And I think at some point, like when you turn unicorn and so on, you feel, okay, the company is in large. I think the next step at least for me, the way I see it is like we build a large company, we will build a large organization, but still far away from building an institution, right? Which is like a generational company, a company that can outlive the people who built it, the people who manage it. And I think, like, if I look at like there are examples of companies like Tata's and Reliance's and so on, and HDFC Bank, for example, in the finance world, there are companies that are like really built as institutions, right? Like, I think the next biggest goal for me is like, how can we take Razorpay to that level where it is an institution that runs and sustains on itself, and it is dependent on me or the people who run it to make it self-sustaining. So I think that's the next goal, and I think we are still quite far from there. Yeah. And of course, IPO is one of an important milestone in that journey, but I think the journey is broad.
Well, you have age on your side, so you guys are super young to be thinking about the next generation per se.
Yes.
And then this, you guys are, I mean, you're fans of Hacker News and you're coders at heart. What, just for the coders who are going to see the show, what about that part of your DNA helps you become very successful leaders or CEOs of such a company? Of course, the heart of the product is still a tech backbone, but how has it helped you as leaders?
I think it's the creativity aspect. The aspect that you can code or do something and create a new product. Like you can imagine something and you can put that out there. That's the most difficult part, I would say. And I think that's the part that came easiest to us. That was our advantage. And even today, I would say that's the advantage for younger folks who are coming out there. Because trust me, like it's very difficult to build a good product and put it in front of the customers, right?
Yeah.
So if you can solve the one part, which is build good product, then I think the only hard part is how do you put it in front of the customer. So you have solved one part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
That creative aspect that is there. And that's still the advantage for a lot of younger folks coming out of college or doing jobs, because now it's even more easy to create a company.
That is correct.
And there's so much support available from the ecosystem. So many good VCs, so many good angel investors. So it's easier than ever to raise money. But I think I somewhere feel that probably it's more difficult these days to take more ambitious bets. Even though it should be easier, I feel like there's still some distance for us in India to cover, to come out and say, hey, we should be able to do this, right? That is still not as common, like even though entrepreneurship is becoming more common.
That's where I think we still need to catch up a lot to the Valley mindset. Where when I go to Valley, like go to Valley once a year, and the kind of ideas people are trying, sometimes it just feels crazy.
Yeah.
Like, for example, when I first heard of Boom Aero, like somebody's going to build a supersonic aircraft, like you just feel like, how can somebody even try that? Like, I think we still need to get to that level.
You're doing your own bit. You folks invest through the fund.
Yeah, we invest through the fund, and we try to find such ideas. So I think that, but to Shashank's point, I think at least from our perspective, like while we were coders with background, for Razorpay, the true moat is still tech, right? Like our distribution, regulation, everything else is of course enablers for us to get there. But in our kind of business, the true moat is still tech. Like Razorpay wins over anyone else because our tech performs better. The day the tech performs weaker than anyone else, we lose where we stand. So that having that tech background, even though we are not coding anymore, at least I haven't in the last 10 years, but even then, having the tech background is really critical for us to keep pushing the envelope on how can we better, how can we do more, how can we solve deeper problem statements.
It's been fantastic, guys. I mean, thanks for being as open, transparent. Like, the idea is to bring out those genuine emotions of that journey. So appreciate what you're doing for young founders who are like trying to see you as role models. That's the idea of the show. Before we wrap up, I'm just going to do a fun rapid fire, and then we'll close with that. Maybe since you said you haven't coded in a while, what's the proudest thing you've coded for Razorpay with your own hands?
Proudest thing? It's the payment system. It's the same system that I coded that is, to a good extent, still running today.
One fintech trend you're tired of hearing about?
Web3.
YC Demo Day in one word or one phrase?
It's a mela. It's like a funding mela for it, maybe.
I don't think I've seen anything as crazy as that. Like amount of cards that you exchange, amount of people, amount of time I pitched in a day. I don't think I've ever done that ever.
You've never done that ever. Who came up with the name Razorpay? Who stresses more before a big launch or a big, milestone?
I think Harshil does. I mean, more public events.
Yeah.
Harshil is really obsessed to get it right.
Got it. And a Razorpay feature that users love but was very tough to build, or really proud of. Like
core payment itself was very tough to get up.
No, clearly there's a lot of memories from that era. But anything more of late? No.
Very tough to build. I'm just thinking like, what's the...
I think the build part has never scared us. The toughest part has always been the approvals and compliance and all that, because that's not our core. Anything on Pro, I don't think we ever feel that it's tough to build. It's always easy.
Manageable, yes. And if you weren't building Razorpay, what would you be doing? I know it's an absurd question after 10 years, but do you come up with, like, you think of other founders, you think of the idea and said, yeah, I would love to be building this.
I think that changes every few years.
Today it'll be AI.
Today,
I'll be in the valley building something on AI.
Super. Who's more likely to just challenge a team's idea just to test them or like push them?
I'll do that.
That's you do that.
He's quite pushy. Sometimes I have to come down and say, Shashank, let's hold on.
Favorite non-fintech founder?
Non-fintech? Globally, Elon Musk.
Elon and India?
I really like the Pinder.
You like the
what
Pinders?
he's doing. Yeah.
Cool. One Razorpay customer story, I know you've said a few, but anything that again stands out is like the special memory that makes it all kind of worth it. There's some anecdote usually which will be emotional.
There's so many.
I know.
Like,
there are too many, I guess.
Like I remember there was this meeting that I went to or a customer. It was in Old Delhi. The customer is still our customer. It was 6 years back. And it was hard to reach that place. So I had to take a rickshaw. So I cycled rickshaw to get to that customer. And we told the customer that, hey, we are a bit expensive and compared to most players in the market. This was old. So he asked, how much do you charge? He said, we charge 2%. I said, oh, I paid 7% to my bank. And we were really surprised that, okay, somebody in this day and age when the information is so available is still paying 7 to 8% on bank charges for a transaction, is doing mostly cross-border.
Yeah.
Like we had to really spend a lot of time understanding, okay, maybe the market is wider than what we had thought.
And last question. If Razorpay is successful because, if I had to say that, how do you complete that sentence?
Product execution?
Yeah, because of our tech DNA. Yeah.
Awesome. I think, today was a sort of a masterclass on, both, you're not a perfect college startup, but it's as good as a college startup. I think all the bonds were built there. The hacker, attitude towards building a great product were built there. For me, it's been a revelation. We've funded a few of them as well, but it's fantastic to hear that journey. And today to be the country's number one gateway is not a mean achievement at all, and like such a long way to go. It's only
absolutely.
It feels like a decade's passed, but we're just getting started.
Yeah.
And waiting for you to IPO. We can all become shareholders and cheer you from the sidelines. But thanks for doing this again.
No, thank you, Karthik. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Thanks. So guys, thanks again for everything. A small gift from us. And I just realized that we're both co-investors. All of us are co-investors in Ultrahuman.
Nice.
So you get a Ultrahuman ring.
Okay.
And let us know the size, your color, your preferences, and we'll get you one. I know both of us are happy with how these guys are progressing.
It's one of our favorite investments.
But they're rocking in the US, and let's keep cheering them on.
Well, thanks a lot for the gift.
Yeah.
I think
Harshil, thanks again for everything, and here's your goodie bag. Hopefully they got the t-shirt size right. And your kit as well.
Oh, nice.
So hopefully both of you will be sporting a ring the next time.
Yep.
We see
Yeah.
you. Super. Thanks a lot again.
All right. Yeah.
Hey, pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having us
Thanks.
on the podcast.
No,
it was
thanks.
fun.
Lovely. I'm glad you enjoyed.